It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at a roll and write game called Noch Mal, this one here, and it is a game designed by Inka and Marcus Brand, very well-regarded designers who have just recently won the Kennerspiel, actually, for the Exit game series. And they've got many other games, lots of different game styles, shapes and sizes. They've done it all, it seems. Well, now they've come out with a roll and write. And it's a genre I really enjoy. So on the one hand, when I heard about it, I was really excited to check it out, try it, see what was new. On the other hand, it's a fairly crowded market right now, roll and writes. And they tend to be fairly small games, and so there's likely to be some repetition there. Does this game avoid that? Is it a good, interesting, clever new game? Does it warrant purchase? Let's take a look at it. We'll come back after that, and then I'll tell you what I think of it. So here's what we've got in the game. We've got a pad of papers here, and those are going to be used by each player in the game. We've got the 6 dice, we've got the markers. Everyone gets one of these sheets, everyone gets a marker, and you are ready to go. So the way it works is, and what you are attempting to do, is score the highest amount possible. You're going to be getting points by completing columns, checking off all of the squares in one full column. If you do that first, you are going to get the number on top. If you do it later, you get the number below. Also, you're going to get points if you complete and cross out every square in one color. So once I get all of the blue ones, I would get 5 points if I'm first, 3 if I do it after that. And then also these down here, which allow me to use wild die faces. If I don't use them, they're victory points. And so at the beginning of the game, someone's going to roll all of the dice, and each round, except the first 3, which are slightly different, goes like this. I am the one who rolled the dice. I could pick 2 things. The black cross is wild. The question mark is wild. Other than that, I can do whatever I want to. And so I might take the blue 4, and I'm going to cross out 4 blue squares. I have to start from the H column or later on in the game next to anywhere that already has a cross. So it'll sort of spread out from the center here. But even later, if you've got some empty H spaces, you can always come back to that and start from there. So in this case, I've got 4 in blue. I would cross out these 4 blue right here. And then the other players, I remove these. The other players can use any combination of all of these dice without moving them from the pool. So one player could do yellow 1, while the other player could do let's say green, because this is wild, don't forget, green 1 as well. So they can use whatever combo they want. And then once that's done, these dice go to the next player around the table. They'll roll them. They'll remove 2, 1 of each kind, and then everyone else can use what's left. One combination of what's left. I'm going to show you here a sheet that I've progressed on. And so some of the markings might look like this. Let's say I'm starting. You can ignore the scoring for now. I'm starting from this place, and I roll these dice. So I've got some red. I've got some 4. I'm going to take that. And I'm going to start right here. So when I cross out some spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, they have to all be connected. I'm scratching out a clump of squares, all right? And it's going to take me a couple more to complete that group of red. When I obviously, if I later get a red 3, I will not be able to use that here because I have to mark in exactly 3 red spots. So I will not be able to do that. If this was a question mark, however, that's fine. I could say that's what it is. And then I would cross out one of these bonus spaces at the bottom. Final score is any of these that you completed. If you completed it first or possibly second, you are going to get the bonuses for getting in a whole column. You get 1 point for each of these you did not use. And then you also lose 2 points for every one of these stars if you did not cross it out. So you have to make sure you try to get those done as well. And then your final score is the sum of all of those things. And that's pretty much it. You will call out when you complete a column. Say I finished D here. I'll tell everyone else. So I can cross this out and everyone else can, I can rather circle it and everyone else can cross it out knowing they'll not get the top bonus there. But that's basically it. Really simple, straightforward design. That's how you play. let's go back up top. Let me tell you some more thoughts about this little dice game right here. All right, so there you have it. Let's talk about it a little bit. Let's start with thematic ties. Of course, the game is abstract, but you know what? I'd rather have abstract in this case than some pasted on theme that they could have done. I'm glad they left it alone. Abstract works on this game, so I'm happy with the quote-unquote thematic ties there. The aesthetics of the game, which is also the quality of the components, I like. I like the box. I think it pops on the shelf. I like the dice. I like the sheets, the pad of paper they give you. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is those markers. They're a weird choice for this game. Not certain why they gave us what appears to be sort of just, like markers as opposed to, say, pencils or maybe colored pencils if they wanted something a little different. At least they're not dry. I'll give them that. They haven't dried out so far, but they are kind of a weird choice. The replayability here, which also includes the scalability, I'll talk about that first. Obviously, like many other roll and write games, the scalability here is whatever you want. You can play with them as many people as you want. You can play with 2, and I have, and you can play with any number, really. The replayability is about on par with most other roll and write games, at least the ones that are not really thinkier, right? Like a Castles of Burgundy dice game has a little more going on in it. And hence, I think it'll have a little more replayability because you can discover and follow different paths. In this one, like in many of the other roll and write games, you are really not discovering anything new past the second play. And it's just sort of a familiarity that leads to a comfort with it. And therein, you're going to get some replayability. But if you don't find yourself really loving it, then I feel like the replayability might taper off quickly. I like it myself. It's not one I'm going to bring out all the time, but it's one that I think when I go back to, I'll enjoy sort of solving a little puzzle, if you will. And I think that adds to the replayability. The game length has been actually a tiny bit long for the amount of involvement the game, provides you. Maybe, again, not too long, maybe 10 minutes too long, but I think it's the fact that you have to spread out to the 2 sides on the sheet and then cover a whole color that leads to that feeling. It's one that feels just, again, if I'm not playing anything else after it, that's fine. I think this is okay. If I'm using a roll and write as a filler to another game, just sort of taking a little break, this one's feels, maybe it's an illusion, but it feels a little long to me. The ease of play, which is fiddliness, if there's any weird design choices, anything like that, I think the ease of play here is on point. The game's really easy to play. It's easy to understand. The scoring and where the scoring comes from makes sense. Clear layout on each sheet of paper. Nothing weird. Nothing seems extraneous. They've made a very clean game here, and it shows. And then lastly, tactics and strategy, and of course the luck in the game. It's there. It's a combination of the 2 or the 3, I guess. But you'll have to adjust your plans to the dice that come up. Depriving the other players of whatever color you remove is also an interesting thing, where they have to pick from the things you did not take. That's cool. And then the strategy or the tactics of sort of figuring out what color you want to try to take over. If someone else is really pushing for yellow, then try to, get another color bonus first. Things like that. Just sort of reactionary moments in the game where you see what's going on and you try to adjust your plan to that. So that's all to say that this is a really good roll and write game. It's not necessarily my favorite roll and write game. It's one that has no theme, so perhaps it'll not necessarily appeal to people who need that in a game. But it is one that I find clever, different enough. It's one that I find engaging. I think the passing the dice around, rolling, taking a couple of them, marking your own sheets is certainly very solitaire, like most roll and write games. But it is fun, and it's a very pleasant way of passing some time. My only issue again, and this is a minor issue, is that the game is perhaps a little long for what it offers you. And of course, that's just my opinion. So there you have it. That is Noch Mal. I would recommend it, and in fact, I'm going to give this one a seal of approval. Check it out. If you enjoy roll and write games and you have not heard of this one, give it a look. I think you're going to dig it.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.